motorcycle industry is executing a massive lie, and you are the victim. They sell you a brand new machine, hand you an owner's manual, and tell you to follow their recommended service intervals. It is a scam. Those manuals are mathematically engineered by boardroom suits to make the cost of ownership look cheap on paper, practically guaranteeing your engine blows up the minute the warranty expires. I have been elbow deep in grease and broken engines for 30 years. Today, I am giving you 17 brutal, uncompromising life hacks that defy the manual and will make your engine outlive you. Let us begin. Number 17, stop idling your bike to death. Riders genuinely believe they are doing their engine a massive favor by starting it up and letting it idle in the driveway for 10 minutes on a freezing cold winter morning. You are absolutely killing it. Let me explain the brutal mechanical reality. When an engine is stone cold, the fuel injection system is forced to run an incredibly rich mixture. It dumps raw, unvaporized liquid gasoline directly into the combustion chamber just to keep the engine from stalling. You need to start the bike. Put your helmet and your heavy gloves on. That process takes exactly 30 to 45 seconds. Then you put the motorcycle in gear and ride it. Riding the bike under a light, gentle, progressive load warms up the engine block, the heavy transmission gears, and the cold rubber tires 10 times faster than sitting stationary. You must get the oil up to optimal operating temperature as quickly as possible to evaporate the condensation, but you must do it gently. Keep the RPM under 4,000 until the temperature gauge moves. Do this or your piston rings are toast. If you think cold starts are a mechanical tragedy, wait until you hear the absolute corporate lie they tell you about lifetime fluids at number 16. Number 16, lifetime fluids do not exist. If you ever open your factory service manual and read the word lifetime regarding your engine coolant, your heavy shaft drive oil, or your front fork oil, take a thick black marker and cross it out immediately. Lifetime in the automotive and power sports industry simply translates to the exact lifetime of the manufacturer's powertrain warranty. They actively want the fluid to last exactly long enough so that when the mechanical component explodes into shrapnel, you are the one footing the massive dealership bill. Engine coolant is a chemical mixture that turns highly acidic over time due to constant, extreme thermal cycling from freezing cold to boiling hot. When that glycol mixture turns acidic, the process of electrolysis begins. The fluid literally starts eating away at the delicate aluminum water pump impellers and the fragile internal head gaskets from the inside out. You must change your coolant every 2 years, regardless of whether the bike has 10 miles or 10,000 miles. You think bad coolant is expensive? Wait until you realize how the dealership is forcing your engine to literally chew itself to death at number 15. Keep reading. Number 15, cut the oil change interval in half. Modern owner's manuals will proudly tell you that you can easily go 8,000 or sometimes even 10,000 miles between routine oil changes. That is absolute marketing garbage. It is a fabricated metric designed strictly to sell fleet vehicles and make the yearly cost of ownership look appealing on a sales brochure. Motorcycles are not passenger cars. Most motorcycles utilize a shared sump design. Inside your transmission case, massive heavy steel gears are violently meshing together and slamming into each other thousands of times a minute. Those spinning gears act exactly like a massive industrial meat grinder. They physically chop up the long polymer chains inside your expensive synthetic oil, the very polymers that provide critical viscosity and heat protection. By the time you hit 4,000 miles, your premium oil has been mechanically sheared down to the watery consistency of cheap cooking oil. Dirty oil destroys your engine slowly, but the fatal mistake riders make at number 14 will shatter your crankshaft instantly. Do not look away. Number 14, stop lugging the engine. I witness amateur riders committing this mechanical sin every single day. You are cruising in 6th gear, doing 30 miles an hour, and you aggressively twist the throttle wide open to accelerate. The engine violently chugs, the handlebars shake, and the exhaust sounds like a dying agricultural tractor. You mistakenly think you are saving expensive fuel by keeping the RPM incredibly low. In stark reality, you are murdering your bottom end. This destructive habit is called lugging. High-performance motorcycle engines utilize plain bearings on the heavy steel crankshaft. These specific bearings do not use ball bearings. They rely entirely on a microscopic hydrodynamic wedge of extremely high-pressure oil to keep the spinning metal surfaces physically separated. When you lug the engine, the RPM is far too low to allow the oil pump to generate sufficient pressure. However, because your throttle is wide open, you are forcing massive, violent downward explosive force onto the tops of the pistons. The protective oil film instantly collapses. Metal slams directly into metal. You destroy the wrist pins and shatter the rod bearings. Keep your RPM in the proper power band. Kick the shifter down a gear. A motorcycle engine loves to spin freely. It absolutely hates to strain. Lugging violently destroys the bottom end of your motor, but your lazy left foot might be destroying your transmission. Number 13, the lazy foot transmission killer. Riders get incredibly lazy on long highway journeys. They cruise down the interstate with their heavy left riding boot resting lightly on the shift lever, or two fingers slightly pulling tension on the clutch lever. You think you are just being hyper-prepared for the next sudden shift in traffic. You are actually burning up the internal organs of your transmission. You must keep your boots and your gloves completely off the controls unless you are actively executing a maneuver. Resting your toe heavily on the shifter puts constant, slight pressure on the internal shift forks inside the engine cases. Those delicate shift forks press directly against the rapidly spinning gear dogs. Over thousands of miles, that slight, constant pressure generates immense, localized friction, literally burning the hardened tips right off the shift forks. When those forks bend from the heat or burn away, your transmission will start violently popping out of gear under hard acceleration. To fix a bent shift fork, a mechanic must pull the entire engine out of the frame and split the heavy engine cases completely in half. It is a $2,000 labor bill caused by a lazy foot. Rest your boot on the foot peg, never the lever. A lazy foot costs you thousands, but ignoring the silent killer inside your engine head at number 12 will cost you the entire motorcycle. Number 12, valve clearances are not optional. A quiet, ticking-free engine is not always a happy, healthy engine. In fact, a completely silent engine might be on the absolute verge of catastrophic failure. Many riders look at the dealership invoice, panic, and choose to skip the expensive valve clearance checks at the recommended 15,000 miles because the bike sounds perfectly fine and runs great. This is mechanical suicide. As a high-revving motorcycle engine wears over time, the incredibly hard valves actually hammer themselves and recede deeper into the soft aluminum cylinder head. This mechanical recession makes the valve clearances tighter, not looser. Tight valves do not rattle, they are deadly silent. But here is the fatal thermodynamic problem. An exhaust valve cools itself down by physically touching the metal valve seat and transferring its immense heat directly into the liquid-cooled cylinder head. If the clearance becomes too tight, the valve never fully closes. It never physically touches the cooling seat. The exhaust valve overheats, literally melts the metal edge of the valve, and you instantly lose all engine compression. Do your valve adjustments early. If the factory manual says 16,000 miles, you do it at 12,000. Melted valves are a nightmare, but the $30 mistake amateur mechanics make in their driveway at number 11 will grind your engine into a literal powder. Number 11, the air filter. Scam. When you pull your gas tank off, check your air filter and see it is covered in thick road dust. Your first instinct is to grab a high-pressure air compressor and blow it clean from the inside out to save $30. Put the air hose down immediately before you destroy your engine block. Modern OEM paper air filters are constructed of incredibly delicate, microscopic interwoven fibers designed to trap particles smaller than a human hair. When you blast those delicate fibers with 90 pounds per square inch of aggressive compressed air, you physically tear microscopic holes directly through the paper media. You absolutely cannot see these tears with the naked human eye, but microscopic silica dust passes right through them. You will permanently lose engine compression and start burning a quart of oil every 1,000 miles within a single riding season. Buy a brand new factory filter. Never blow them out. Dust destroys rings, but stomping on your shift lever sends kinetic shock waves that will rip your powertrain in half. You must master the technique at number 10. Number 10, rev match your downshifts. Utilizing engine braking is a fantastic, highly recommended way to slow a heavy motorcycle down and save your expensive brake pads. But if you are just stomping your boot down on the gear lever and instantly dumping the clutch lever out without blipping the throttle, you are sending massive, violent kinetic shock waves through your entire powertrain. When you drop down into a lower gear, the internal engine RPM needs to rise dramatically to perfectly match the rotating speed of the rear wheel. If you do not manually blip the throttle, a technique known as rev matching, before releasing the clutch lever, the massive forward momentum of the heavy rear wheel physically forces the internal engine components to spin up violently against their will. Learn to rev match your downshifts. It makes your riding seamlessly buttery smooth and saves your transmission from shattering into pieces. You think clumsy shifting is violent? Wait until you hear what your drive chain is physically doing to your fragile aluminum engine block at number 9. Number 9, the chain-to-engine connection. Amateur mechanics treat the steel drive chain like a separate, isolated entity from the engine block. It is absolutely not. If you run your drive chain even slightly too tight because you want snappy throttle response, you are directly threatening the structural integrity of your engine cases. As your rear suspension compresses heavily over large bumps or during aggressive cornering, the physical distance between the front sprocket and the rear axle actually lengthens due to the arc of the swing arm. If your chain is adjusted too tightly on the kickstand, hitting a deep pothole at highway speeds will pull that steel chain incredibly taut. This immense upward pressure crushes the delicate rubber countershaft seal, causing major, unfixable oil leaks. Even worse, it physically destroys the internal countershaft bearing. To replace that single bearing, you have to split the engine cases completely open. A slightly loose chain is infinitely better and safer than a tight chain. Always leave the proper factory slack. A tight chain cracks the engine case, but the poison you pump into your gas tank at number 8 rots your motorcycle from the inside out while you sleep. Number 8, the ethanol poison. If you park your motorcycle in a cold garage for the winter with a tank completely full of standard E10 10% ethanol pump gas, your engine is literally rotting from the inside out while you sleep. Ethanol is highly hygroscopic. That is a scientific term meaning it actively absorbs moisture directly from the humidity in the ambient air. When ethanol absorbs enough water from the garage air, it undergoes a chemical process called phase separation. The heavy water and the ethanol completely separate from the actual gasoline and sink directly to the absolute bottom of your gas tank, resting right where the delicate fuel pump pickup is located. This corrosive water rusts the inside of your expensive steel tank, heavily corrodes the precision brass jets inside carburetors, and completely clogs the microscopic screens inside modern electronic fuel injectors. If the motorcycle is sitting unridden for more than 3 weeks, you must go out of your way to use expensive ethanol-free recreational fuel, or you must treat the tank with a heavy-duty marine-grade fuel stabilizer. Ethanol kills your fuel system, but babying your throttle is secretly choking your engine to death. The brutal riding technique at number 7 will save your motor. Number 7. The Italian tune-up is real. Many cautious riders aggressively baby their motorcycles. They never take the RPM past half of the red line because they genuinely want to preserve the engine internals. By babying the engine constantly and never letting it scream, you are actually choking it to death with massive carbon buildup. These carbon deposits get red hot during sustained riding and act exactly like glowing embers inside a campfire. This causes a terrifying condition known as pre-ignition or engine pinging, where the volatile fuel mixture ignites before the spark plug even fires. This rogue explosion clashes with the upward moving piston, threatening to blow a literal hole straight through your piston crown. Once the engine oil is fully warmed up, take the machine to the open highway, Drop a gear and run it hard to the red line a few times. Carbon suffocates engines, but excessive heat is the ultimate, undeniable Grim Reaper. Number 6, exposes the hidden overheating crisis that your digital dashboard gauge will never warn you about. We are diving deep into the heavy mechanical secrets now. If these hacks are saving you from a massive, multi-thousand-dollar dealership repair bill, drop a like on the video. Let us uncover the terrifying truth about your liquid cooling system. Number 6, radiator fin neglect. You look down at your digital temperature gauge while sitting in traffic. It reads perfectly normal. You comfortably assume your cooling system is operating flawlessly. But if you get down on your knees and look closely at your aluminum radiator, the incredibly delicate cooling fins hidden right behind the front wheel are packed solid with concrete-hard mud, dead bugs, and sticky road tar. You have a hidden, devastating crisis on your hands. Even if the overall coolant temperature sensor looks completely okay on the dashboard, heavily clogged radiator fins cause a localized phenomenon known as localized boiling deep inside the engine block. Certain restricted areas of the aluminum cylinder head are running hundreds of degrees hotter than the rest of the engine because the flowing coolant cannot physically shed the trapped heat through the blocked external fins. This extreme, uneven thermal expansion severely warps the aluminum cylinder head and instantly blows the fragile head gasket. Take a soft, bristled nylon brush, a bucket of warm, soapy water, and gently clean those fins by hand. Never under any circumstances use a high-pressure commercial power washer. The violent water pressure will fold the delicate aluminum fins completely flat against each other, suffocating the airflow and ruining the expensive radiator forever. Heat destroys gaskets, but a dying battery triggers a catastrophic chain reaction that will fry your entire electrical system. Number 5 is a $1,000 mistake. Number 5, the stator and battery death spiral. You walk out to your bike and you have a weak, struggling battery that barely manages to turn the starter motor over. But it eventually fires up, so you ignore the warning signs and ride away. You are about to cost yourself $1,000 in catastrophic electrical repairs. Your motorcycle uses an internal permanent magnet alternator, known as a stator, to generate all of its electricity. It sits bolted tightly inside the dark engine case, literally swimming in boiling hot engine oil. When you force the bike to ride with a weak, dying battery with high internal resistance, the stator has to operate at absolute maximum electrical output constantly. It is desperately trying to force a heavy charge into a defective battery that simply refuses to hold the voltage. The stator massively overheats. The protective epoxy insulation coating the copper coils physically melts off. The stator violently shorts out, which then sends a massive, unregulated voltage spike directly to your regulator's shock rectifier, instantly frying that expensive component as well. A cheap $60 preventative battery replacement just turned into a massive engine cover-off repair, requiring new gaskets and expensive electrical components. Replace weak, struggling batteries immediately. Electrical fires are expensive, but the multi-billion-dollar lie the oil companies sold you at number 4 is actively wasting your money and ruining your valves. Number 4, the premium fuel delusion. Aggressive oil company marketing has completely convinced you that premium 93-octane fuel means premium quality and will magically make your engine run cleaner, faster, and last significantly longer. If your factory owner's manual specifically calls for 87 octane, putting 93 octane in the tank is a total waste of your hard-earned money and is potentially harmful to your machine. Octane does not equal horsepower. Octane is simply a scientific measurement of a specific fuel's resistance to detonation under extreme pressure. Higher octane fuel actually has a slower flame front propagation speed than low octane fuel. It burns slower to prevent catastrophic engine knocking in high compression superbikes. If you put 93 octane in a low compression engine specifically designed by the factory for 87, the slower burning fuel does not combust completely before the exhaust valve forcefully opens. This leaves heavy, sticky carbon soot permanently baked onto the exhaust valves and the spark plug electrodes. Run exactly the octane number the Japanese engineers designed the combustion chamber for. Nothing more, nothing less. Octane lies waste your cash, but the brute force you use in your garage will strip your cylinder head bare. Number 3 requires absolute mechanical precision. Number 3, the torque wrench mandate. I see amateur garage mechanics changing their spark plugs in the driveway every spring. They thread the new delicate spark plug in, grab a massive heavy-duty half-inch drive socket wrench, and blindly crank the spark plug down into the engine until the veins pop out of their forearms. You are exactly 1 millimeter of torque away from permanently destroying your expensive cylinder head. Your motorcycle cylinder head is constructed of incredibly soft, easily damaged cast aluminum. The spark plug threads are constructed of incredibly hard, unforgiving forged steel. If you blindly over-tighten a spark plug, the hard steel threads will instantly shear the soft aluminum threads right out of the engine block. To fix that catastrophic mistake, the entire top half of the engine must be unbolted, removed, and sent to a professional machine shop for expensive thread inserts. Conversely, if you under-tighten the plug, hot, pressurized combustion gases will violently blow past the loose threads, physically melting the expensive ignition coil located directly above it. Buy a calibrated torque wrench. Look up the exact foot-pound specification in the factory service manual and tighten every single critical bolt precisely. Absolutely no guessing. Stripped threads are a nightmare, but the dealership salesman's advice about your brand new engine at number 2 will make it burn oil forever. Number 2, the break-in myth. You just spent $15,000 on a brand new motorcycle. The dealership salesman hands you the keys and tells you, keep the engine completely under 4,000 RPM for the first 600 miles to break it in properly. If you listen to that salesman and baby the engine that much, you will end up with a sluggish, oil-burning machine for the rest of its miserable life. The absolute primary goal of the initial engine break-in period is to physically force the brand new, sharp steel piston rings to aggressively scrape against the microscopic cross-hatching honed into the cylinder walls. This violent scraping mates the two surfaces together, sealing the combustion chamber perfectly. If you baby the throttle and ride like a coward, there is absolutely not enough internal combustion chamber pressure to physically force the piston rings outward against the hardened cylinder walls. A smooth, shiny glaze forms over the critical cross-hatching. The rings never physically seat, and you will suffer from power-robbing blow-by and low engine compression forever. Warm the engine up fully to operating temperature, then ride it through a deliberate series of brisk, hard accelerations and hard decelerations. Aggressively load the engine with acceleration, then let the massive vacuum of engine braking cool it back down. Heat cycle the metals. Do not bounce it off the red line, but do not baby it. We have finally reached the absolute summit. The number 1 hack to keep your engine alive forever involves a tiny, hidden, 10-cent mechanism inside a $10 part that can physically destroy a $10,000 engine in 5 agonizing seconds. Prepare yourself. Number 1, the oil filter bypass valve secrets. Riders will proudly spend $30 a quart on exotic, fully synthetic, ester-based European racing oil, and then turn around and screw a cheap $5 off-brand aftermarket oil filter onto the engine block to save a few pennies. You just signed your engine's absolute death warrant. Every single spin-on motorcycle oil filter contains a highly critical internal safety mechanism known as a bypass valve. When you start your engine on a freezing cold morning, the thick oil sitting in the oil pan is highly viscous. It cannot physically flow through the dense paper filter media fast enough to feed the spinning overhead camshafts. The bypass valve detects this dangerous pressure spike and instantly springs open, allowing dirty, unfiltered oil to temporarily bypass the paper media and violently rush to the top of the engine to prevent catastrophic dry start wear. Cheap white-label aftermarket oil filters use absolute garbage bypass valves manufactured with incorrect pressure springs. If the internal spring is incredibly weak, the valve stays blown open permanently, and your high-performance engine runs on dirty, contaminated, unfiltered oil for its entire lifespan. If the spring is incredibly stiff, the bypass valve never opens on a freezing cold start. utterly starving the delicate camshaft journals of vital oil for 5 agonizing seconds, until the thick fluid finally warms up and thins out. The horrific metal-on-metal screeching sound you hear is your expensive valve train literally tearing itself apart. Never cheap out on oil filters. Buy the strict OEM manufacturer filter, designed specifically by the engineers. Those engineers calculated that specific bypass valve pressure to perfectly match your exact oil pump output volume. Respect the engineering, do not cut corners on filtration, and your engine will run flawlessly until the end of time. Click on the next video to continue the ride. Protect your investment. Respect the machine. If this video saved you from making a catastrophic mechanical error, hit that subscribe button, click the like button.